The restaurant was alive with the soft hum of silverware and conversation, a place where people came to be seen, not to see. Sunlight filtered through tall glass windows, scattering golden reflections across crisp white tablecloths. It looked peaceful from the outside, but for Anna Muller, every step she took felt like walking a tightrope. She adjusted her apron, her hands trembling just slightly, the quiet exhaustion of double shifts showing in her eyes. Her mother was in the hospital. Her younger brother needed tuition money. And yet here she was, smiling through pain, holding on to dignity like it was the only thing left that belonged to her. That afternoon, a group of businessmen entered, the kind of men who believed their money could bend the air around them. Among them sat Carl Schneider, a billionaire known for his power and pride. He laughed loud, spoke sharper than a knife, and treated the world like it was made to serve him. When Anna approached with their drinks, she became their joke, her hands, her uniform, her very existence, reduced to laughter. They didn't know she understood every word they said. They didn't know the woman they mocked would teach them the lesson of a lifetime, because sometimes, courage doesn't roar. It speaks softly, in perfect German, and changes everything. In the restaurant, Lame Zone, was a place of perfection, polished floors, spotless glassware, and a staff trained to disappear. For the guests, it was luxury. For Anna, it was survival. She'd been working there for months, saving every euro she could to keep her family from falling apart. Her mother's medical treatments were expensive, and her father's death had left the family hollow, both emotionally and financially. Her brother, Lucas, was bright top of his class, but the tuition fees threatened to end his education. So Anna worked harder, smiled longer, and complained less. She often told herself, "One day, I'll be free again. One day, I'll go back to my books." But that day always felt too far away. That afternoon, the sun spilled over the tables like honey, catching on the glasses and silverware. The restaurant was busy but calm until the door opened, and a group of 5 men entered, their presence commanding instant attention. They were businessmen, expensive suits, louder confidence. And leading them was Carl Schneider, a name that made even managers stand straighter. His company owned half the buildings in that part of Berlin. People called him brilliant, ruthless, unstoppable. Anna didn't care who he was. To her, he was just another customer. But she noticed the way others reacted, whispers, stares, and nervous smiles. Money had gravity. It pulled people in and bent their behavior around it. Anna approached the table carefully, balancing a tray of drinks with practiced grace. As she reached them, Carl leaned back and began speaking in fluent German, assuming the waitress wouldn't understand. He mocked her trembling hands, her simple uniform, the way poor people always pretend to be graceful. His companions burst out laughing, the kind of laughter that fills a room and empties a heart. Anna froze. The glass trembled slightly in her hand. Every word cut deep. She understood every syllable. German had once been her passion, the subject she studied before her father's death. She wanted to turn away, to swallow the pain, to keep her job and her silence. But something inside her refused. She placed the drinks down gently, straightened her posture, and turned to face him. Then, in flawless, composed German, she said, "Respect doesn't come from money. Her Schneider intelligence doesn't wear a suit, and the language you use to belittle others, I once studied it because I loved how it connected people, not how it separated them." Silence, the entire table froze. Even the music seemed to pause. Carl's smirk faltered. His companions looked at each other, their laughter dying mid-breath. The waitress they mocked stood before them with calm, unshakable dignity. Anna didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. She simply spoke the truth, steady, measured, and brave. Then she walked away, leaving behind a billionaire staring into his untouched wine. The rest of the meal was painfully quiet. Carl barely spoke. Every so often, his eyes followed Anna, not with anger, but something that looked strangely like shame. When the meal ended, he asked to see the manager. The entire staff held their breath. Everyone assumed Anna would be fired. The manager called her over, his tone nervous. "Anna, Mr. Schneider wants to speak with you." She took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready for the worst, but Carl stood up. His face was different now, no arrogance, no sharpness. "Only honesty. In front of the entire restaurant," he said softly, first in German, then in English, "I owe you an apology. You reminded me today what respect really means." Then he placed a thick envelope on the table, the tip, and left quietly, his entourage following, their silence heavier than gold. The room buzzed with whispers, but Anna didn't hear them. Her heart was still pounding. She'd spoken her truth and survived it. Life went on. The routine continued. But Anna carried a new lightness in her steps, a quiet pride that no paycheck could buy. Then one morning, as she was folding napkins before the lunch rush, the manager called her again. "Anna," he said, holding a letter. "This came for you." Her name was written in elegant handwriting. She opened it carefully and froze. It was from Carl Schneider. The letter began, "Dear Ms. Muller, you may not remember every word you said that afternoon, but I do. You reminded me of a version of myself I had buried, the young man who once dreamed before ambition consumed him." Carl went on to confess that he had grown up poor, working in his father's small shop before success hardened him. He admitted he had lost touch with humility, and her words had shaken something awake. Enclosed was a scholarship form and a note saying that he had established a fund in her name, the Anna Muller Scholarship for Education and Dignity. He wanted her to be its first recipient. Anna's hands trembled as she read the words. Tears filled her eyes. She hadn't just defended herself, she had reignited humanity in another person's heart. Anna became a professional translator. She traveled the world, connecting people through words, the very dream she thought she had lost forever. One day, she received an invitation to speak at a university event on resilience and kindness. As she stood on stage, looking out at rows of eager students, her heart swelled with emotion. She told them about that day in the restaurant, the cruel laughter that turned into silence. She said, "Kindness is not weakness. It's strength wrapped in gentleness. Standing up for yourself with grace can change hearts, even the hardest ones." The room erupted in applause. After the event, a young girl approached her and said, "I was going to drop out of school to help my family. But your story made me think again." Anna smiled. "Then it was worth everything," she replied. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the city, Anna sat by her window, looking at the sky turning gold, the same color as that afternoon sunlight years ago. She whispered softly, "Thank you, Papa. I did it." And somewhere in a tall glass building across town, Carl Schneider sat alone, holding a framed letter with Anna's name on it, the letter he had written long ago. He looked out over the city and murmured, "And thank you, Anna, for reminding me what being human really means." Because sometimes, one moment of courage, one quiet act of dignity, can ripple through lives like light through glass, and kindness, when spoken with strength, can change the world.